welcome back to the show. We're continuing our discussion of Batman Begins. This is episode 3, time code 10 minutes and 10 seconds to 17 minutes. That's if you're following along at home with a digital copy. Joining me today is my very good friend, Shenmue.
Thanks for having me.
So, Shenmue, how long have we known each other?
Too long. Like, how long has it been now? Is it 18 years
19?
or 19
No, I
years?
think it's 19 years
Man,
because we met in 2000, March 2006 on Xbox Live.
yeah, so it's our 20-year anniversary next year.
Yeah. And this is the 20th anniversary of this movie.
We're still not exactly sure how we originally met. Well, I mean, we met through a friend, right? But like, you
Well,
don't know exactly how
we,
you
we,
met
we,
him.
we have different memories, right? So my first memory of you is me going into a private chat with you, and you was helping me with a corrupted save file on the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. But I think you've said to me that your first memory of me was ranting in a online game of 13, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, you were just like, this game is absolutely terrible, like just complaining all the time. That's just remember that. Yeah,
I
like
have no memory of that at all.
the game was a bit broken in the multiplayer.
I don't
I just
even me
remember hearing your voice like, oh man, this is like, what is this? And like you just complained about every tiny little detail of it.
I don't even
And it
remember
made me
playing
laugh
the game multiplayer. I didn't even remember that it had multiplayer. I've just erased that memory entirely from my mind.
because it was so bad, I guess.
Yeah, it must have been, yeah. Speaking of gaming, did you see that there's been a new Lego Batman video game announced?
Oh yeah.
It has no co-op.
Yeah,
It's
which is
just
really stupid because that's
yeah.
kind of the point of the Lego games to me.
Yeah, I mean the whole point is to play with friends and family, right? Surely. Um,
Yeah.
they did say it's an open world Lego Batman game. They said They said the size of Gotham City in that game is the largest Gotham City in any video game ever, like larger than the one in Arkham Knight.
Oh man, that was the problem with the Star Wars ones, though. It's just too big. I'm kind of worried that it's going to be too much.
Yeah.
In theory, that does sound amazing, like to be able to explore Gotham City and everything, and like in the Lego format, like it does sound
Yeah,
fun.
you can drive your Batmobile around the whole city with your
Yeah.
Lego Batmobile.
Oh man.
Even the fighting, like that, it looks like an Arkham game, but in Lego. Like you're gliding across rooftops, like in Arkham games. You are grappling up to buildings. Even the combat has a sort of Arkham type like combat system to it,
I guess we should give it. Oh, I would say we could play it together, but since it doesn't have co-op, that's not
and
going to
it's
happen.
not currently listed even as having remote play.
Oh,
So
that's a shame.
very worrying. Yeah, but
I
it
feel
might not
like
be
those kind
playable.
of games, like I would only play co-op really. Like I feel like, I mean, we tried to play Lego Star Wars together, right? And we had a terrible time.
Yeah, you convinced me to pay what? How much did I pay? £60 for that game.
Yeah, yeah, so
A-
expensive.
And then you played a few hours and you was like, I'm never playing this again, and left me with the game.
I still feel bad about that. I was
Yeah,
just
you
like,
should
I
feel bad.
cannot physically play another minute of this game. Like, sometimes you play a game, you're like, oh, it's not very good this game, but I'll carry on. I'll get through it. But that game, my brain it just rejected it. Like I feel like I would just puke if I played any more of it.
I've been playing that on and off since 2022 when you got me to get it. Like I'm still trying to finish it.
Oh man, what movie are you on now? On the on the
I've finished all of the episodes. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, and I'm just going back and getting like the mini kits and some bricks and things like that. But yeah, I finished all the episodes.
Oh man, can't believe you've actually managed to do it. How many hours has it been overall then?
101 hours so far.
Oh, God. That's like the size of Red Dead Redemption 2 or something.
It's absolutely
That's
enormous. Like
insane.
that's what I'm thinking. Like Batman's going to be like that, even though it's like, I mean, with Star Wars, it's smaller locations, but it's many locations because it's like all the worlds from the movies and
Yeah,
lots of
yeah.
like stage and stuff. So, but this is just like the Batman one is just like the whole of Gotham City, and I imagine there'll be like everything you could ever want to see in Gotham City. So it'll be
It
like
that does
act,
sound cool to explore it. I feel like I would like to play it just to explore the city and everything and see
yeah.
all the moments.
People are
I mean,
really
is it
hyped
based on
for
the
it.
movies?
Um,
Yeah.
they it's all of Batman's history apparently. So it's like it's all the movies. There's like I saw like in the gameplay, the person playing the game was wearing the Robert Pattinson suit from the Batman.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
it's all the movies, it's the comics, the cartoons, everything. Like everything's being referenced.
That's so weird though. Like, how's it going to all just? I guess that's the great thing about being Lego,
Yeah,
because you can get away with like it's because obviously the art styles are so different and everything, but with it just being Lego, there is a unified style, right? Because that's
yeah,
just what you get. So
yeah. So
yeah,
if you play, you know, if you watch the prequel Star Wars films and then you watch the original, they're just so different visually and like tonally and like
yeah,
they
yeah,
don't really mesh, right? But when you do it in Lego, you can it just all feels like it belongs. And even with characters, like you can be playing like you can be running around Naboo with Luke Skywalker from Return of the Jedi or something, or Darth Vader, and it doesn't matter. Like
yeah.
everything works in a way that it wouldn't if it wasn't Lego.
I do like that about Lego. Yeah, I think it's really cool how you can kind of just get away with so much because you kind of the expectations are different, right? Like it's basically that fidelity thing, isn't it? Like because the fidelity is essentially lower and it has a certain feel about it, you can kind of get away with lots of different things just for the concept of fun, right? Just to make a fun game, do whatever you want to do in it. So yeah, it could be good.
That's nice though, to just focus on fun and
Yeah.
hopefully nothing else. Just
I
pure
mean, that's
fun.
what it should be all about. But the Star Wars games,
Yeah, a grindy
it
to
still
this
isn't fun.
max.
Well, to be clear, we're talking about the Star Wars saga, right? The newest Lego Star Wars, because
Yep.
obviously the OG Lego Star Wars games are fantastic, actually. Even though they're like, I mean, I don't know what they're like now. Maybe they're like, you know, a bit too far gone, but they are a lot of fun. Like, they're super ropey, but
Yeah.
again, it's just pure fun. Like it's a lot of like it's all the set piece action sequences and everything in the movies, and they're great. But
The
it's
original
the newer one.
the yeah, the original games are funnier. Like the humor is
Oh yeah,
funnier, whereas the new one isn't as funny. Like you sort of
yeah,
you register the humor intellectually, but it rarely makes you sort of laugh. You might get a
yeah.
slight smile from playing it, but like I
Like a
remember like
half
just
smile.
yeah, I remember playing the originals, and it's like you're laughing heartily at like what is happening in the game because it really was funny.
Yeah, they've always had a great sense of humor, these games, and like it is. Yeah, it's a shame that it kind of just lost all of that. I agree. I think you're just like, yeah, that's kind of funny. Yeah, I see where you're going with that. But it feels like it's a bit too like, hey everyone, isn't this funny? Kind of thing, rather than just being actually funny, like the old games were. I like
Yeah.
the kind of like mime-based stuff they used to do as well, right? Where they didn't talk and they just go like, or
There's
whatever.
a
And
setting
it's kind of
on
funny.
on the new one. There is a setting when you unlock enough. I think it's data cards. You have to collect these data cards, and then you can actually toggle the setting to make them mumble if you want, so that it gives you that
Okay.
old school feeling. But obviously, you wouldn't unlock that for a long while in the game. You'd be probably finished the game before you even unlock that setting.
It's kind of cool that they've included it, but yeah, like it's like why don't they just let you choose that from the get-go? I feel like
Yeah.
we would have probably set that right because it seemed to be more funny, at least back in the. I mean, it can be funny too when it's the actual audio from the movies I've played. I know the like the Lord of the Rings games. I think the Lego Lord of the Rings game did that, and it
Mm.
was still quite funny. But I don't know. Yeah, it might have helped. It might have made it less boring.
I've got to ask you. First of all, what is your favorite Batman film? And then what is your favorite comic book film? Because it might not be your favorite Batman film.
Oh, um, favorite Batman film would be The Batman for sure. But Batman Begins would probably be my second favorite. And then favorite comic book film probably still would be The Batman, I would say.
So if it's not a Batman film, what comic book films
Oh,
do you like that are not Batman? For me, it's Superman the movie slash Superman 2 because they were sort of filmed together, like back to back. And then,
not the
mm,
new Superman movie.
no, I enjoyed it, but it's like in the middle for me.
But like yeah, I feel like the new one, I did enjoy it, but I didn't feel like a lot of emotion, if you know what I mean. Like it was fun, but like yeah, I don't know.
Did you see that James Gunn's announced the sequel,
Oh
um,
yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
Man of Tomorrow. Um,
Yeah.
mm. And they're only 2 years away.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it makes sense. I think it's done quite well.
Yeah, it done very well in America, like domestically,
Yeah.
and not great worldwide.
It's interesting how it's mostly America. Yeah. I mean, I guess there is something very American about Superman, right? I don't know.
Probably the most American. I
Yeah, I think
mean,
it might be. Yeah.
he's almost wearing American colors, and he has the slogan, truth, justice, and the American way. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it really fits that vibe, I guess, and that's probably why it hasn't done as well. Yeah, because that film took a lot of the audience for like the new Fantastic Four movie, for example, which apparently hasn't done very well, right? Um,
I think it's done some just over 500 million, and Superman's done just over 600 million.
oh, okay.
And then F1, I don't know if you've seen F1.
Oh, the F1, I haven't seen it now, but I've
I
heard a lot
watched
about
that.
it.
I watched that the other day. It's good. It's a good film. And that
Okay.
has just beaten out Superman, I think. So that's
Ah, interesting.
interesting that this F1 film has beaten both comic book movies.
That is interesting because it feels like F1 is something that is not
You would have thought it's
so
more
universal.
niche. Yeah,
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Maybe it's just because it is something a bit different, right? But it's also kind of big. That's kind of captured people. Maybe people are crying out for blockbuster movies that are not comic book, basically, something different. Because especially because of some of the bad comic book movies of recent years, right?
yeah.
Maybe
I
people are
think
kind of like, I just want a blockbuster that is something different from that, you know?
Yeah, and I think you've got to earn it now. If you release, I
Oh,
mean,
totally.
there was a time when pretty much any comic book movie that released would make 1 billion.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. Yeah.
Wonder Woman, Aquaman, they all made like like 1 billion, and it's like Captain Marvel, like these films made over 1 billion. They are not great movies, but they still
No.
made a fortune because it was in that period where like the comic book movie like was at its peak and the audience were interested. It was like you could make a comic book movie about anything and it could just be the most average sort of film and you make over 1 billion. Whereas
Yeah.
now I think you have to make if you want to make a lot of money, you have to make a really good film. It has to be really good now.
Well, that's a good thing, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad that it's not, you just don't automatically get it. Like, it's good that they've got to try harder now. So,
And,
yeah, I think you're right. I think there's definitely more of the sense of earn, which is why I'd be very interested to see how the Batman 2 does for that reason, because obviously the Batman 1 was so fantastic. Is, does that mean that Batman 2 is going to do really well as well? Because people have also, me and you have talked about this before, right? About momentum and how the sales of the the sales of our movie can also be based on the sales of the reception to previous entries in that franchise, for example, and which I think is what might have impacted things like Fantastic Four, for example. But yeah, because people have heard about the Batman and watched it and thought it was absolutely fantastic, does that mean that the Batman 2 is going to do really well? Because also their friends will know about it as well, right?
And then
So it'll
there's
kind
the
of spread.
Penguin. It's also had the Penguin show, which
Oh, yeah, yeah,
also went down very well, received very well.
yeah,
So,
yeah. So it's going to be
but
interesting.
interestingly, like the Batman Part 2 is due to come out in October 2027. Superman 2 is July 2027. Both sequels are coming out in the same year, which is really interesting.
It
But
is
obviously,
interesting, especially because the Batman one came out years ago now, right?
yeah, it was 2022. So
Yeah.
it's taken 3.5 years basically to get the Batman Part 2 written. And but there was like to be fair to Matt Reeves, there was a writer's strike that went on for like many months.
Oh, yeah.
And then I heard that he's had some personal issues that
Mm,
um and then obviously he's also a perfectionist. So he wouldn't turn in a script until he feels like it's basically 100% there. Like he won't go,
yeah.
oh, here's the first draft. He'll be like, no, this is it. This is the finished article. So, and I appreciate that. I would rather wait a few extra years and get a film and look forward to a film that you think to yourself, this is going to be a really high quality film with a really great script, a really tight script, rather than just rushing something and then because a bad movie is what's that quote from Miyamoto? He said like a bad game is always a bad game. I feel like it's the same with a
Yeah.
movie. Like when the movie's out, if it's bad forever. Whereas if you get a good movie, it's good forever. And then you get a good Batman movie, and you can enjoy watching it over and over for years and years to come, and really enjoy it. And you'd be like, I'm so glad that they took the extra time to get this right, rather than just rushing it out.
Oh, this is what he said. He said, a delayed game is eventually good. A rushed game is bad forever.
Yeah,
But that's exactly what you're saying, right? Like it's very true to movies as well. Like if you rush it just to get it out, just going to be bad, isn't it?
yeah,
But yeah, taking your time is worth it.
yeah. So let's get into this episode then. We're back in the well again with young Bruce Wayne, and one thing I noticed about this was the boy that's playing young Bruce Wayne. He has a lot of freckles on his face. I
He
don't,
does, yeah. I also noticed that.
and Bruce Wayne does not,
Yeah, yeah.
or Christian Bale does not. So when I Googled it, apparently you can lose a lot of freckles from childhood when you get older. Is
Yeah, I
that true?
think I used to have more freckles as well when I was younger.
Hmm.
And I get them a bit more when I've been exposed to the sun now. But yeah, I think maybe that's what's happened then. It is
Uh,
weird though that they picked somebody with so many freckles
yeah,
because I feel like he just doesn't look like him at all because of that.
yeah. I don't think he looks much like Christian Bale.
No, it's funny that I literally noticed the exact same thing though. Like the first time I saw the clip, I was just like, oh man, he's covered in them.
Yeah,
But
and
I guess
then
it's hard to find a good child actor though as well, right? Like it's not always about him looking too close. It's also about having somebody who's decent to
yeah,
act. And he did
yeah.
he's done a good job.
How old do you think he is there? Like, how old is Bruce Wayne supposed to be at this point, do you think?
Ooh. Like 7 or something.
Yeah, I
Maybe 8, yeah, maybe something like that, right? I
yeah,
bet the actor's a little bit older than that though. Right, Hollywood
probably
style.
yeah.
You've always got to have an actor that's slightly older for some reason, just the Hollywood way, right? One thing I also thought watching this again just now, there's I feel like they've it's a little bit overdone how his dad is like this great guy, right? Like it feels like that's another Hollywood trap. It's like when a character's too good, you know they're gonna die, right? Like
Mm,
it's like, oh yeah, like I'll help you out, and like we're gonna build this public transport system to help everyone, and all the poor people are going to be fine and all this kind of thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, this guy's going to die definitely. I mean, obviously I knew he was going to die anyway, but you know what I mean? Like it's like It's more obvious than I originally thought at the time when I watched this.
In the Batman, he's presented as like definitely more flawed in the Batman, there's and he made some mistakes. And there was even a point in that film where you think, is he a bad guy? Is he
Yeah.
corrupt? Is he corrupt? And as a Batman fan, I was worried about that because I was like, I don't want a character assassination of this guy because, like, he's not meant to be a bad guy. And like you, though, I don't want him to be perfect either, but I want him to be a
Mhm.
real person. But fundamentally, I want him to be a good guy. And that's what we got in the Batman because you learn that no, he was a good guy. He made a
Yeah.
mistake, but he made a mistake for the right reasons.
The right reason. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I love what they did with him in the Batman. Yeah, I think that was much more interesting to me. Like, and I think they just overdid the I'm a good guy on this one for sure.
I wonder if we can look at it though, as if this is the way Bruce Wayne remembers his father. Because it's possible that what we're seeing is an idealized version of Thomas Wayne, not the reality of the man in all of his complexity, but just what Bruce Wayne remembers, like the nostalgia of, like he's got an idealized version of his parents, perhaps. Do you know the actor?
Actually, no.
He's
I
called
don't know if I've seen
Linus
him in.
Roach.
Oh, okay.
And I know him because he's in a, or was in a television show called Law and Order.
Oh,
And
yeah.
my mum used to watch that. So that's how I know him because I remember
Ah,
seeing him on that show like all the time.
that's a famous show, that one, Law and Order, right? I don't think I've ever watched it, but
It went on for like literally decades.
yeah, yeah, it's another one of these like Midsummer Murders and like those kind of
I
shows where
think
they keep going.
I don't even know if the any of the original actors made it all the way from first season to the end. I think they
Yeah.
just cycled new ones in and out from time to time.
So what was this guy then? Was he a main character in it?
I think he was at some point.
Because yeah, I've never seen him in anything else.
We see Bruce being carried to the house by his father there, and I noticed that it's been raining. Everything's damp and slick,
Yeah.
but Bruce Wayne is like bone dry. In the first scene, when the movie opens, you see him playing in the garden. It's a sunny day, and then obviously at some point after he's fallen down the well, Rachel runs off into the house to go and get help, and then it must have rained. It must have been like a quick shower or something. You would think that Bruce would have got wet at the bottom of that well,
Yeah.
and but he didn't. So is that a continuity gaffe? And I think that Bruce is very clean considering he's
Yeah,
falling down this
exactly. Yeah.
filthy well, and you know,
Well,
I
these
don't.
two would have got dirty as well, right? Coming down to help him.
Yeah,
Well, not Alfred
no,
so much, but
Alfred. Yeah,
yeah. But he also looks perfectly intact, even though he's abseiled down.
and also I noticed that you can see there's like different servants there. You see him?
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah,
that's
that's interesting.
interesting. So I then wondered, like, oh, how many servants work at Wayne Manor at this point when his parents live there? How many servants would you normally have in a house this big? If you have just one family living in it,
I mean, yeah, but nowadays, even a super rich family would not have that many, I suppose, right? Because it's so expensive.
I
But like
remember,
historically,
yeah, I remember seeing like a documentary and they were talking to some people that owned a big house like this, and they said like they are asset rich but cash poor,
oh
and
yeah,
they I don't think they had any servants, and they said like they couldn't even afford to heat the house. They would
oh
just live
man,
in one or two rooms, and the rest of the house is just the heating's just not there. And they said it's absolutely freezing in the winter
oh gosh,
trying to keep these places warm.
yeah. That's. Oh, I've actually heard similar stories about that. Like, yeah, people, you see these kind of, you make that assumption, right? You see somebody in these huge houses like this, and you think, oh, they must be so rich, but actually, their house is weighing them down essentially.
Mm,
Yeah, because it would just be, it's just so difficult to actually afford something like that now. But I mean, if they sold their house, they would be filthy rich. But I guess, who wants to sell something like that, right? Oh, that's a
yeah.
shot of the house there.
This is Mentmore Towers.
Yeah.
It was built in 1854 for the Rothschild family in the village of Mentmore in Buckinghamshire.
Yep.
Apparently,
So
the
they
owner was a banker, and this was his
ah.
country home to display his art collection.
To display his art collection. I want a big massive mansion to just
So
display my art collection. Like
this was essentially his man cave.
yeah, exactly. That's crazy.
But back in
Oh
those
man.
days, people put all their wealth into their homes. They
True.
it was less like people today they might like buy yachts, private planes, think like even private islands now, the super rich. But in those days, everything went into your family home and they would make it as
Yeah.
big and as lavish as possible. And that's how you displayed your wealth, but it was like how many servants you have and how many rooms your house has and things like that.
Yeah, because there was something about windows, right? I don't know if they still have this now. There was like a window tax that they put in at one point because like obviously the rich people have so many windows on these and that's how they govern like how much you can end up paying for your tax or something. Yeah, like I say, not sure if that's the case now. I'm talking about the UK now, but yeah, it's interesting that these oh man, like just imagine having a whole place just to display your art collection. I want a whole building to have my game, like have a game room and a movie room and all that. Like why can't I afford that?
Yeah, why not, Jeremy?
Not fair.
So, do you have a favorite Wayne Manor from the films?
Uh, I don't know. I mean, I really like how this one has got that sort of realness to it. But
Mm,
the thing that throws me off though is that when I look at this, I can tell this is in the UK, right? But then the rest of the city isn't. Like, because obviously, because I guess obviously I mean, I don't live in the UK anymore. I'm from the UK, but like, I know how things like this kind of house, like there isn't anything quite like this in America, right?
there is a
And so it
scene at
feels
the end
weird.
of, yeah, there's a scene at the end of the movie, and you can clearly see the British countryside in the background.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. It kind of feels weird because you could just tell that it's just not the same place.
I think this might be my favorite Wayne Manor.
Yeah,
Um, I like the one in '89 as well. That's another English house. That
it
one's
is.
called Knobworth. Oh,
Shame.
sorry, it's not Knobworth, it's Nebworth.
Oh, I
Yeah,
kind of like Knobworth more.
yeah, so do I. But yeah, Nebworth is like more gothic than this one. And
It
but
is, and it looks cool.
I feel like Nebworth looks really good from certain angles though, and then other angles it doesn't look as good. Whereas Mentmore looks good all round, I think. So, but generally, I do. I think this may be my favorite. It's there. It's up there with the two. It's either this one or Nebworth. I think the worst one though, out of the movies for me, is Batman Returns because in that film it isn't actually a house. It's clearly a model, like in the establishing shot, like, and it's got like little model trees out the front.
That this looks very modelly. I see what you mean.
And the scale doesn't look quite right to me as well of the
Yeah,
windows and things. It's possible it was intentionally like the scale was a bit weird because they were going for like a weird aesthetic with the house, but it just does not look real. Like, and I would
it
just,
looks very cartoony, doesn't it? Like it's out of a cartoon movie.
are you familiar with the actress that plays Bruce Wayne's mother in the film?
I feel like I recognize her, but I'm not quite sure where from.
Her name is Sarah Stewart, and she's a Scottish actress.
Oh,
And she's done a lot of sort of small roles in UK television, such as Casualty. I mean, everyone in the UK has been on
Mm.
Casualty, but unfortunately, when I looked up about her, she had breast cancer
Oh
and
man.
she had to have surgery in 2011. Now she advocates for causes that promote awareness of the disease.
Okay.
What do you think about Michael Caine as Alfred?
Oh. Um.
I guess we should say Sir Michael Caine.
I think he does it well. Like I think it's got that sort of like butlery aesthetic, right?
He's a Cockney Alfred, though.
Cockney, yeah. People outside of the UK, especially America, right? They love that Cockney thing because I think they assume, because of basically how movies have portrayed British people. I think they assume that a lot of people in the UK have that Cockney accent and everything, which is kind of a dying accent, right? Like you don't really hear that many people with the Cockney accent anymore.
Yeah, so they
And
either think we're like aristocrats or
yeah,
we're Cockneys. We
yeah,
can only be one of
exactly.
the two.
Well, Mary Poppins was a big part of that, right? Like because you've got what's his name now?
Dick Van
He
Dyke.
played Dick Van Dyke, yeah, exactly, and he played an absolutely terrible, terrible Cockney accent in that movie, and that kind of shaped because that's such a long time ago now, and that kind of shaped what people assume that British people are. And you've just hit it completely when you said that. Like, yeah, I feel like people either assume like the sort of Downton like super posh yeah, aristocrat accent, or they sound like this. So I think that's probably one of the reasons that they went for that because like it's very like oh yeah, that's how they sound and everything. But yeah, I do see your point. I feel like he does fit. I would also see. I don't know if you've seen Downton, but like there's
Yeah.
the 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 butler guy in that
Oh
like
yeah.
he's got like more I completely forgotten his name. It's been a while since I watched it, but he he has more of that kind of accent, and the actor he also looks like what you would imagine a butler to be, right? Like he's very fits the part.
This is Michael Caine's actual accent. I mean, this is how he talks. But when you look at some of Michael's other films, he absolutely can do a posh British accent if he wants to. It's just a choice that they made, which I'm totally fine with. We've been
But I
pretty fortunate with Alfred in live action because I don't think
hmm,
we've ever had a bad one.
a bad
Like
one,
they've
yeah,
all been good.
yeah, that's true.
Even in like Batman v Superman, the Alfred was good.
Yeah, the only good thing about the movie, terrible movie.
Did you ever watch Gotham? I remember Charles where he got to the episode with Balloon Man and he was like, I'm out.
Yeah. Oh man, that's
But
going
did
back a
you
bit.
did you ever watch it?
Balloon Man. I did watch Gotham, but I got a bit bored. It was for me. It wasn't so much that there was crazy stuff in it, but it was more like it just felt like I wanted to get to the cool stuff, and the cool stuff wasn't going to be in the show, or it wasn't going to be in for a long time.
Yeah.
It felt too bland to me
The
in
best
general.
thing in the show, though, for me was Alfred. He was a Cockney Alfred as well, but he was really great, and he had a great relationship with Bruce. The young Bruce in it, he would be quite unkind to Alfred. Alfred would get upset with the way Bruce would treat him sometimes, but he was always there for him. That was like the highlight of that show for me, their relationship and that Alfred.
Yeah,
And then
Sean Pertwee.
that's it. Yep.
I don't know. I feel like the look of this guy. He looks too. How do I put it? Like a little bit too rough,
The Alfred
but
character's changed a lot over the years as well. So Alfred was created in 1943, but not for the comics. He actually appeared in a Batman serial,
cereal, like as in
like
like Frosties.
no, yeah, an Alfred in every box. No,
Oh man.
it was the theater serials. They used to like back in the day in America, they would show these sort of black and white. episodic serials, and like the kids would go there on a
Hmm.
Saturday morning, and I don't know, pay a few pennies, and then they would be at basically they wouldn't kick them out either, so they would pay their few pennies, and they'd be there like all day or half the day, and they just like watch a few serials, and they'd watch like a few episodes of Batman.
It was basically a TV series in theater format
Yeah,
before. Oh, I did
yep,
not know about that.
yep, and it was very low budget, obviously, as you can
Oh,
imagine.
yeah. Mm.
The original version of Alfred, I think he was a bit of a sort of a buffoon,
Oh.
and he was portly gentleman. I don't think he worked with the family. He didn't raise Bruce Wayne or anything like that. He was just an employee of the adult Bruce Wayne.
So, okay. So he wasn't a butler then,
He
specifically.
was a butler, but he was hired by the adult Bruce Wayne.
Oh.
Yeah, in the early comics, Bruce Wayne didn't grow up in Wayne Manor. He purchased Wayne Manor as an adult.
Oh.
Yeah, and discovered the cave as an adult.
I kind of like the idea of him being up in it more, though, actually.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
And
it's
I
just
like the
more interesting.
idea of him finding the cave as a child as well, like, and the impact that would have made upon him.
Yeah.
It,
Man,
it,
that would have been that so the original reality then would have been even darker though in that respect because at least like now, you know, Bruce has Alfred to kind of help bring him up, right? Like he has somebody from his childhood.
yeah,
But then if his parents died, he had literally nobody then, and then he got his house, and then he got, but it's a whole like the idea of that, like that's even yeah, that's a lot darker to me. Like I guess he had no
yeah,
one.
yeah. So in the original comic, his parents are killed in front of him, and
Yeah.
then as a child, he makes this commitment, this oath he swears on their grave, basically, that he will avenge them. And then you have like a few comic panels showing him learning different disciplines like chemistry, like martial arts, weightlifting, things like that. And then it just cuts to him as an adult. And then in different issues, he purchases a house, he employs the butler, all that sort of stuff. So you do wonder like what happened to him after his parents died. Like was who raised him? Like who took care of him?
I wonder if he was in an orphanage or something.
Possibly, because I do wonder why Alfred raises Bruce Wayne and it's not any other family member.
True. Yeah.
I think there is a line in Batman Begins when Alfred says something like, "Your father entrusted me with what was most precious to him in the whole world," meaning Bruce. So
Yeah.
I take from that that it was in the will that Alfred would sort of be a guardian should anything happen. So
He really trusted him, didn't he?
I don't know. Yeah, I think although he's a butler, he really is treated like a member of the family. But we don't know why. I don't know why Alfred is that close to the family. Uh, I, I've never really come across the comic myself or any of the films where they sort of explain like why that is the case. I know originally when he was originally created, he wasn't even called Alfred Pennyworth. He was called Alfred Beagle. So he changed his name, he slimmed down, and his personality changed a little bit as well. So he went from being sort of a buffoon to being more serious, and
Oh, was
even
he like the comic relief then?
a little bit, and then
Ah.
and also even after that though, Alfred continues to change in the comics. So there there was a time when they said that he used to work in the London theatre and that he was a classically trained actor. And then there was another backstory where they said actually he used to be in the SAS. And so he has military training and then he passes some of that on to Bruce Wayne. So there's lots of
Well, I
different,
guess that does make some
like,
sense.
I've heard that he was a medic. So there's lots of different sort of backstories and things to Alfred. So he's just, I personally just like the Alfred to just be a butler. I don't need him to like have different skills and and all this back. The only thing I would like to know is like why he was entrusted with Bruce to raise him, because it's unusual for the butler to raise him. Like, did
Yeah,
Bruce
it is.
Wayne not have any other blood relatives? It
Or
would be.
maybe they just didn't give a damn, right?
It's interesting as well that Bruce Wayne's an only child. It is a rare thing, isn't it? Like for that to be the case.
It is. It'd be kind of interesting though, right? To have like a version of Bruce Wayne that's actually got a brother or a sister. I don't know how that would
An evil
work.
twin.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's got a
Well, played by
brother.
the same actor in a movie, right? Like that classic evil twin thing.
It
I,
sounds like an
it,
episode of Gotham.
yeah. I mean, it does make me think though when you said about Alfred being a bit more funny. Like sometimes I wonder if the idea of having like a comic relief character can sometimes help with these kind of things though, right? Because obviously Batman can be quite dark. I could see, a bit of levity coming from a main character could be a good idea.
He
His
has his
character.
moments.
Yeah.
In the Batman Begins video game, he had quite a few little comical lines in the game. And on the video where they sort of Michael Caine's discussing the part of playing Alfred again, like in the game, he does talk about how he feels like Alfred considers himself quite witty. And so he makes these sort
Oh,
of
okay.
little dry jokes in the
I guess he does. Yeah.
he does it in the film, but and he does it in the game as well, like quite a bit in the game.
I didn't realize that reprised the role in the game as well. That's kind of cool.
All the actors did except for Gary Oldman.
Ah. Because that's quite unusual, though, right? Because they in video they don't tend to get the same actors back for the video game. I'm sure they want to, they
Mm.
just can't pay them the money for it because the budget tends to be lower.
Michael Caine, how far back do you know his work? Because I've watched him in films like from the 60s, such as
Italian
Zulu,
Job.
yep, Italian Job, Zulu, Alfie, and then going forward from there.
I mean, obviously, I've seen him in Italian Job for sure. Before this, I don't think I've seen Zulu. And what was the other one you said?
He'd probably get cancelled these days for doing Zulu, but uh,
Yeah,
yeah, and Alfie is
I haven't seen
that
that.
that film
Yeah.
depresses me. It's I don't it's he sort of plays a guy that sort of sleeps around with a lot of women, and he basically uses them and then discards them, and it's quite a sad story. Like I think one of the women gets pregnant, and in the 60s you couldn't legally have an abortion. And so the woman goes to like this sort of back alley doctor,
Oh
and
man.
I think she's made quite unwell with what he does to her. And yeah, it's just a sad story. Like this guy that's like really good looking, confident, has money, like wears sharp suits and everything. He's a womanizer. He thinks he's happy with his life, but by the end, he's quite sad because he realizes that he's alone, and you know he's lost his child that he could have had. He could have had a nice family life and been with someone that like genuinely cares for him. And because of his choices, he's sort of he's got quite a shallow life from it, or quite a lonely life, really.
Hmm.
Yeah, for me, it's like quite a miserable film. Leaves you feeling quite sad at the end. But during the film, it has like many like light moments. It's like it's a comedy, really. A lot of it is a comedy. It shifts quite abruptly. Like it would be comedy, but then like very sad and a very serious drama.
Hmm.
Nolan's idea was to surround someone like Christian Bale, who wasn't that well known at the time, with like big named actors
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
because
and I mean, he's got this thing about using Michael Caine as well, hasn't he? Like, I
yeah,
guess it was after this though,
yeah.
but like he's pretty much in all his movies, isn't he?
Is he still doing Nolan films?
I feel like he is.
Really? Was he in
Wasn't he
Oppenheimer?
in, I don't know about Oppenheimer. Maybe he wasn't in Oppenheimer, but
And
I
he
thought he
wasn't
was
in
in
well, he wasn't in
Tenet, wasn't he?
1914
Tenet.
either, was he?
Um, No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Was 1914 the latest one? You know, before Oppenheimer.
Um, no, it was
Or
Tenant.
was it Tenet? Because he was in Tenet.
Yeah,
So I guess he's not in every movie then, but he definitely likes to use him a lot.
yeah. Is
I mean, he's
Michael
a good actor,
Caine
so
is Michael
and he's
Caine
well
still
known.
acting?
I feel like he is. I feel like, but yeah, maybe he's coming near to the end of his career though. I mean, like, I wonder what his age is now.
I saw him
Oh,
on
he's 92.
yeah.
92. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize he was that old.
Clint Eastwood's still going. I think he's like 94 and he's still directing.
Wow. Clint Eastwood really does look older though, doesn't he?
I saw this episode of, do you remember Parkinson? It's like a chat show back in the day in the UK. And
No, I
Parkinson
don't
would
know.
like interview like famous people, singers, actors, things like that. He had Michael Caine on once. I didn't watch it at the time because obviously I wasn't around, but like I watched it on YouTube, like this clip. And Parkinson was like, "Why do you do so many like terrible movies?" And I was like, "Whoa!" Like, and Michael Caine sort of explained that Michael Caine. He said he grew up very poor, like really poor, and even though he'd since become famous and earned a lot of money, but it's sort of psychologically, like in the back of his mind, he was always worried that he could become poor again. He's like, what if this is my last movie that I make? What if I don't make any more? What if my fortunes are reversed and I lose my money in some way? And so whenever he would be offered a lot of money for a film role, even if that film was terrible, he would never turn it down. And I think he did like he would sort of do a mixture of good films and some terrible films. And I remember he did like one of the many Jaws sequels. And Michael Caine said to Parkinson, he goes, "I've never seen the film." He said,
Probably
"But
for the best.
he said, but I've seen the house that it paid for, and I can assure you it's lovely."
That does sound like his kind of humor. Let's see in the house it pays for. Yeah, I mean, I guess that does make some sense in some ways.
I could understand that though, because
Yeah,
I mean, I
being
grew
brought
up,
up poor
I
and
grew
everything.
up poor, and like as soon as I started earning money, like even when I wasn't earning a lot of money, I always like try to put something away because I was like, you never know. So I've always done that, I've always sort of tried to save some money.
But it's good that he's made so much success as well from that. I always like to see like somebody who's from a more modest background, actually do really well for themselves like that because it's still quite a rare, it's a rare thing.
He never learned to drive. He said,
Really?
yeah, well, when he was poor, he couldn't afford to drive. And then he went from being poor to sort of being very famous and very comfortable, like very quickly.
So he doesn't need to drive
And
after
then he
that.
didn't, and then
Yeah.
and because he was and then when he was in London, he said like no one drives in London,
No, they don't.
and so he didn't need to. And then so now, if he needs someone, will drive him now. I wanted to talk about the monorail with you. It's like three rails, one above the other.
It's pretty cool actually.
Is there anything like that in America that you know of? Like not three, but maybe two?
Um,
There are bridges in America where you've got two lines of traffic, like car traffic, one above the other going over a bridge.
yes. Yeah, and I mean we've got the SkyTrain in Vancouver has some bits where it kind of like there's a point where it kind of winds around the road. I think it goes from what is above the road to below the road. So it's sort of like has this sort of curved section. It's almost like a roller coaster kind of thing. But it's not as crazy as this though, with the three lines. And look how much verticality there is between them. They could actually be a little bit smaller, couldn't they?
That's what I thought. I would have thought they
Yes.
would have got them much, much close. They would have,
Much tighter.
yeah, really
Yeah.
tight. Because when you think about trains, right, they're normally like, when you watch two trains pass one another in opposite directions, there's like inches between them, right? They're
Yeah.
so tight. And then when they go through a tunnel, it's like the tunnel's just big enough to make the train through. So you would have thought like with
Yeah, they're
something like
almost
this,
touching. Yeah.
You'd have thought that that would have been like the case with this. They'd be almost touching one another.
Well, it's economical, isn't it? Because in fact, it's so funny you mentioned that because that's I literally thought that just the other day because I was on a train. I was on a train in Italy, and the trains in Italy are very much like the ones in England, where, like you said, they're really, really, really tight and next to each other. And a train went past, you can kind of feel that judder when the other train goes past on the other line, and it's because, like you say, they're so close and the kind of wind, you feel the wind of it, the air pushing. But it makes sense, doesn't it? Because obviously, the further away they are, the more expensive the tunnel's going to be because it has to be huge. And like,
Yeah.
yeah, with this, you can
Yeah,
see
because
like they've
you're
really
spending more money because
way more.
you're
Yeah,
spending a lot more. It's a lot more metal involved and other materials that you're just wasting, really.
yeah. It definitely feels like they've gone for that fantastical element without really thinking about the realism of it.
Maybe because it's Thomas Wayne that's bankrolling this, and he's really doing it for the community because he says like the city's going through tough economic times, and the idea is to make a cheap public transportation network to unite the city. So it'll let people get to work cheaply, but in comfort and some style. So I wonder if he was willing to take the financial hit just to make it look a bit more aesthetically pleasing,
Yeah, yeah.
especially as this thing's wrapping around the whole city, like it's going through the city. You would imagine, like, even to get planning permission and stuff, like that maybe one of the stipulations would be that this thing can't look grotesque. It's got to look quite nice.
Yeah, and I mean that's true. Like if you have three lines like this, right, then on top of each other, then the view that you would get would be worse, right? If like one's right on top. Well, I guess
Mm.
you get it kind of be darkened, right? You get the shadow
Yeah,
of one of the
yeah.
trains.
I didn't
So
think
maybe
about that.
that's why. Yeah, it would look much so if you were on the bottom rail, it would be really
Although
dark,
they
right?
wouldn't be running exactly parallel beneath one another at the same because like that you can see there's just one train.
There's three on the right, look, and they're all running at the same time, which is
Uh,
really cool. That's a good shot that you've got there, actually, even
uh,
though it's like hard to make out when you first look at it. But you can see three trains are all running at the same time on the right, and
yeah.
then you've got just one on the middle and one on the left, right?
Mm,
But yeah, you would kind of get the idea that, like, I suppose if one was right on top of the others, it would shadow it a bit.
yeah.
It still feels a bit unnecessary, and I still would say though that, like I said in the beginning, it does feel a bit like he's a bit, like, oh yeah, I'm so good. Like I'm helping the world with my, with the transport system and everything. And it's cool, but you know what I mean? It's just a bit like, oh man, like it's a bit too goody two shoes, right? Like it's like I feel like no one's really quite like this
The
in the
interesting
real
thing as
world.
well with the Thomas Wayne character is he's actually a surgeon in the comics and in this movie. So and that's like his day job. And the
Of course
company
he's a surgeon. It's gonna be a, like he's gonna be helping rescuing people every day.
yeah, this guy's literally a billionaire, but he's a surgeon as well. He lets like the people in his company, they're just taking care of all that sort of stuff. But then I guess he just sort of now and again he's just like consults with them on big things like this project because the monorail was really his sort of brainchild. He was like, I want to do something for the city, and then he would have said to like Lucius Fox, you just go and make it happen, you know.
Yeah, yeah. He said better people, didn't he? I leave
Yeah.
this to better people. Uh,
In the comics, he actually saves the life of Carmine Falcone. So would you say it's Falcone or Falcone? In this film, everyone calls him Falcone. In the Batman, he's called Falcone.
how is it spelled?
So it's Fal, Fal, and then Cone, Cone.
Then it should be Falcone then, right?
And obviously you see it in a comic in print, but you never know how to say these things. So
That's true. That's true. When we read comics and books and things, we kind of make our own interpretation sometimes of pronunciation, right? At least I definitely do this. And then you hear somebody else say it and you're like, oh, that's how you meant to say it? But I feel like it should be Falcone because it doesn't have yeah, like you say, an accent or an I on the end or something like that.
Yeah. So, okay, we'll go with Falcone. And
Yeah,
then, so in the comics, he ends up turning up at Wayne Manor in the evening and he's been shot and he basically gets operated on like the dining room table because he can't go to the hospital because he's a criminal, obviously. And so Bruce Wayne's father saves his life, and th that gets called back in the Batman movie, doesn't it? Where
yeah.
Falcone says to Bruce, "Don't you think that meant something?" And Bruce is like, "Yeah, it just meant he took the Hippocratic oath." What's your feelings on the city, the aesthetics of Gotham City in this film?
It varies, right? Because there's parts of it like that do look very much like Chicago and like more realistic looking,
Hmm.
like just like a regular city. But then there's shots of it that he definitely does. Is that the monorail there in the bottom? Sort of
Yes.
bottom rightish. Yeah, there you go. So like this shot specifically here does look very much like Chicago, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But there's shots where it definitely looks more fantastical. But I like that though. I like the fact that it has a bit of both to it. Like because obviously the sequels looked just like Chicago, right? Basically with like
Well,
the odd
just as you
building.
see that monorail there, like in sort of very small, that's how you see it in the Dark Knight. Like in
Right,
certain
yeah.
shots, you just about see it in the background going by, but that's as big as it gets, I think, in the Dark Knight. And I
You could
think,
basically miss it right in the Dark Knight completely. Well, then
yeah,
it's less CGI to do, right?
mhm.
Because this is obviously CGI on this scene here.
Yeah, because what they did is they would sort of film like in Chicago, and then using computer tech, they would sort of make the city they sort of add more to it in the background. So the buildings
Yeah.
in the foreground, most of the buildings in the foreground are real, and then like off in the distance it's CG, just to make it look like this city is even bigger than like New York. It's like enormous.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah, but
this
they only made it look bigger. They didn't add any like gothicy things to it or whatever, right? There's no kind of style extra that they've added
the
really.
the bit that's really stylized, which I'll talk about in a different episode, is the Narrows because that's like
Oh
super
yeah, the narrows, yeah.
stylized. But yeah, but like for the most part, yeah, it's realistic looking because the production designer on this, Nathan Crowley, he said like in the Burton films, it's like the city gets its wealth, it looks like from like industrialization. So in like 89, you're in like downtown Gotham City and you've got like the like City Hall there. And then just behind it, or just off to the side, it's like this like there's this chemical factory or something belching pollution out.
Yeah.
And and
So
so
cool though. I love that.
yeah, so Anton, so in that movie, Anton Furst's idea was like, imagine New York on steroids. So it's like massive, but there's no planning permission because the council, the what they don't call it the council, do they in America?
They just call it the city, I think.
Okay, so the city in America is corrupt. Like
Yeah.
everyone's taking backhanders, and so you could be like, "Hey, I want to build this building right here," and they're like, "Okay, I'll take this
Yeah.
suitcase of money, and we'll pass it
Yeah,
through."
yeah.
And so like you've got like massive part of the city is like shadowed, so people on the street, even in the daytime, they're not even getting any light because the buildings are so tall, they're so close together,
Yeah.
and
It's
then you've
so
got
cool
like
though. I love
bridges
that kind of concept.
everywhere. Yeah, I love it
Yeah.
myself. I
Like
absolutely
I
love
don't
it.
want to live in it, right? Obviously, I don't want to live in a place like that, but there's
No,
something about like
just
seeing something
seeing
like
it
that.
is just amazing to look at. Yeah, the city itself
Yeah, it
is a
is.
character in those films. And then but in this film, Nathan Crowley was like, well, we wanted to make the industry about banking. So something
Right, yeah.
like London, it's all about banking. It's all the financial sector. So that's why it looks this way. But it's just to me, it's not as
It's a bit
visually,
bland though.
yeah, it's not as visually interesting.
Well, yeah, it's because maybe, because it's just so like it is how it is, right? Like you say the cities like London or whatever, like where the banking is the big thing. And it's just like, well, it's not really I guess it's not really anything different. But then I guess I guess maybe part of the purpose of that is to make it feel like it's more familiar in a way, right? Like so that you can understand it very easily. Because like you say with the industry in the city, it feels so unrealistic, right? Like a big city like this with all that industry right in the middle of the center like that, it's I guess it's kind of hard to grasp that being real. But I think it's just really cool though. And you could kind of see it as like an alternative reality, right? You could definitely imagine that being the case.
Yeah,
It's just not how cities generally are designed because you do put your industrial sectors further out, right?
yeah, exactly.
Because
Yeah.
that just makes sense.
But they were trying to make, like with Batman Begins, they were trying to make it so that you could almost imagine like you want to take something fantastical like Batman and put him in the real world to say, what would this
Yeah.
guy be like in the real world? Well, obviously, if you take that to its logical conclusion, he wouldn't be in the real world because he'd be dead or he'd be arrested. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
that's
Yeah.
the reality.
Yeah.
That is that if you was going like totally real, that's where it would go, right? So you can't go fully real.
But I do think that this trilogy, I will say that like I think this trilogy of movies did bring a lot of people into the audience that may never have been interested. And I think part of it probably was that like a little bit more realism to it.
And
Kind of
it was fun to sort of imagine like especially when you've seen Batman Begins and then you're excited for the next one because they leave that sort of hanging sort of thread at the end sort of saying, oh look, the Joker's going to be the villain in the next one, right? And
yeah, that was cool, wasn't it?
and then you
How the
start
way
to
they did that.
imagine like how what would the Joker be like in this more realistic Gotham City? And then you start to think, well, what would other villains be like in this version of Gotham, you know? And that was part of the fun of going like, oh, how do you make, you know, we never had Mr. Freeze, but like if we had, it'd be like, how do you make Mr. Freeze work in this version of Gotham? So that was part of the fun. So, and I think, you know, Tim Burton did his thing, and then you can't keep doing that, you know, because people will lose interest. One of the things that's great about Batman is that it has been interpreted so many different ways and it keeps it fresh. And then,
It really does. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, and like you said, yeah, you can't just keep doing the same thing because also it loses its impact, right?
yeah,
Because if you're like, yeah, yeah, it's another fantastical city, yeah, it looks very gothic here, whatever. Like, eventually, that's just going to be kind of not the same. And everything always goes round in circles. We'll probably end up with something more like, well, I mean, the Batman is also more like that to some extent, right? It's not Burton-esque, but
I feel like the Batman's sort of midway between Burton
midway. Yeah,
and Nolan. It's sort of
100%.
somewhere in
Yeah,
the
I
middle.
agree.
And yeah, I feel like that's the sweet spot to be in for me personally, because it's like I do like the more fantastical look to the city and things like that. But I also like that Nolan focused so much on character and the plot and making a good story. Whereas, you know, especially with Batman Returns, the story's like bonkers, you know, like there's it's although, you know, like when I saw Batman Returns and you watch like Penguin running for mayor and you're like, who on earth would vote for this guy? This like criminal, this guy that's like this freak, you know? And then you watch like Donald Trump win the election twice in America, and you think, wow, like anyone can become a politician in America. You know, like you can have a criminal record, you can be a TV actor, like Reagan. You can be anything, and like people will vote for you. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, so like now
It doesn't
you what?
seem that crazy, does it, when you see something like that now? Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're at the opera, and the interesting thing about this is, so in the comics, Bruce Wayne's parents visit the theater because they go to the cinema and they traditionally they go and watch Zorro and then they die. But in this, Nolan switches it to the opera. As a fan of Batman, I have no problem with them switching it because it fits. You know, they're a wealthy family that live in a ginormous
Exactly.
mansion. They're billionaires. They would
Yeah,
go to the opera. They would do
they
things
would.
that people like me and you don't do.
Yeah.
So. I have absolutely no problem with them switching it. It works quite well for me. And also the show that they're watching fits as well because like when you watch it, you see that like Bruce does become terrified by seeing the bats in
Yeah, I
the
love that. That's actually really cool. And I like the fact that he's getting terrified by the bats, and then that's the reason they end up leaving. And then he has that guilt, right, where he feels responsible. I mean, I
yeah,
know I'm kind of cutting a little bit, but you know what I mean? Like I just think that's a really cool idea, how it all wraps in. And yeah,
yeah,
like you say, the opera, it does make total sense to me. In fact, I would even argue that it makes more sense than the cinema in terms of being a rich family like this,
yeah.
like especially now. But yeah, no, it totally, totally makes sense to me that they did
And you
that.
think like we're gonna say he's 8 years old and he's carrying all that guilt with him because
Yeah,
a child would blame themselves. I mean, adults blame themselves for things, even though it's
they do.
illogical to blame yourself because, it's not your fault. It's the guy that shot them. It's that guy's fault and him alone, right? He takes personal responsibility for his actions. But we do, don't we? We blame ourselves for things. And like certainly an 8-year-old would blame himself for this. He'd be like, if I hadn't have freaked out and if they hadn't have left early, they would still be alive. So he's
Yeah,
like,
and then that's going to make him feel, and it kind of leads to how it makes sense that he's just so weird, right? Like, because then he ends up being, you can imagine thinking like, well, I need to be better, like, I need to be less of a wuss, kind of as in that's how he would feel. I mean, like, he's like, I need to be less like, I need to be really hardened and everything to everything, because then that's what led my parents to die, right? Is would be his thinking, his internal monologue. And I think that's really cool, yeah, how you can like you can imagine that would lead to you feeling that way. And it's like you said, especially at that age when you're more
yeah,
impressionable and you
that's a
think
good point. Like he's right.
really
I've
cool, isn't
got,
it?
if I
Yeah.
was tougher, if I was stronger,
Tougher,
like
exactly, yeah.
I like, yeah, it's interesting. This film more than maybe any of the others like really goes into that sort of psychological complexity. Strangely enough, so does Batman Forever goes into a lot of it. You don't think of Batman Forever because it's not like one of the more popular movies. And uh, I mean, it was a big hit back in '95 when it came out. But over the years, people sort of lump it in with Batman and Robin, and they sort of write it
Mm.
off. And it's a mixed film, but it does make a lot of effort to go into the psychological aspect of Bruce Wayne and his trauma and stuff. So I think that film and this film, like, they do the best job on that.
Yeah,
So do you know what this show is that they're watching? This players.
no idea. Do you?
I do. It's Mephistopheles.
But is the only reason you know that because you've done the research, or is it because you would actually know it anyway?
I did actually know it, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did know this one, but yeah, so it's interesting that, and I don't know all the details about the history of it. I did look that up, but I did know that was the show.
Ah.
So I did look up, and so apparently originally the show was a flop when it originally released, and
Huh.
they cancelled it after just 2 shows. And apparently people were hissing from their seats,
Oh man.
hissing, which is very strange. So the story is that
But wait, did it get reinstated after that then?
yeah, so basically it was sort of like reworked and changed a little bit, and then its sort of
Huh.
popularity grew. But
But
yes,
I wonder if as well, like sometimes like something gets a lot of hate. Sometimes the hate can be also because of popularism of the hate of it, right? Like it's popular to hate it. But
I mean
also
it
I
only
almost
had
wonder
two
if
shows
people
though, like literally
oh
two
yeah, I
shows, and
see.
then
So
it was
it's not
cancelled. So
yeah, yeah. So it must have been just genuinely bad, I suppose. Yeah.
in the story of Mephistopheles, basically Mephistopheles is the devil,
Right.
and he says like, I want the soul of Faust. That's this guy called Faust. And he makes this boast before God and the angels that he can win the soul of Faust. And so he comes to the earth and he makes a deal with Faust, and he says like, I will give you happiness and all the sort of things that you want in exchange that when you do die, I get your soul. And
Ah.
Faust agrees to this. And basically, sort of as it goes on, Faust like repents and sort of rethinks things, and he actually gets forgiveness because, and then like he gets to retain his soul. And so yeah, the devil loses his bow. But yeah, so um, moving on then.
Yeah,
So they leave, and I noticed that his mother here, when you watch, she looks annoyed. Like
she
Martha
does. Yeah, I
looks
love
annoyed.
that. Yeah, I love that.
Like you see,
Yeah, look,
they're
she looks
coming out
annoyed when they
now.
come out. Yeah, yeah. She's like, What's up?"
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I love that.
I mean, she's the opera fan, right? I don't.
Yeah, for sure.
I think his father likes it as well, but he's not obviously not into it as much as Martha.
And then I love how he defends him, though. That's cool. The dad. Again,
Yeah,
it's a little bit too, a little bit, still a bit goody two shoes for me.
but
The
she
fact that
can.
he's always the good guy, but I still thought it was kind of
But
cool.
you can see that Martha can see what he's doing, and that sort of calms her down a little bit. Or,
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
sort of
yeah.
like, yeah, okay, let's go easy on him. It's not the money for them, obviously, because they're rich. But it's probably like it's in the middle of the story, and you've got to get up in front of everyone. Like that
Yeah, it's
is it's
embarrassing.
embarrassing, yeah. Because
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
go,
And they're famous.
they won't let you in after the show has started,
No, they
So
won't.
the idea of just like, and they were like right in the middle, weren't they? In the middle
Yeah.
row, and like everyone was squeezing past everyone and everything. Like, so yeah, you can
And she was
see,
probably looking forward to watching it, she's probably enjoying it
yeah,
as well. But yeah, no, I could definitely imagine the embarrassment though, for sure. And look, they have to move because everybody, that they have these pokey little aisles, don't they? So everybody has to get up so you
yep.
can squeeze through, which it also shows there. So you can imagine how she's feeling.
I can imagine they don't show it in the film, but I can imagine like in the real world, like people like and tutting and like you can hear
Yeah, oh,
people muttering
definitely.
as you're
Yeah.
going and everything.
Yeah, everyone's looking round at them as well, like
Someone's
whispering,
like,
like,
why
what are
would
they
you bring a
doing?
child anyway?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
all that
true,
sort of
true.
nonsense, like yeah, I
I mean,
could.
to be fair, the kid is probably a bit too young for that.
I think
Although
if
that
he hadn't have had the trauma falling down the well, I think he probably just would have been more bored than him. He probably would have
bored,
fallen
yeah,
as
yeah, I
he
think
probably
so
would have
too.
fallen asleep during it, to
Yeah,
be honest with
yeah.
you. So
I feel like I would get bored, to be honest. But I do kind of want to see one just for the experience. But I feel like I wouldn't enjoy it, to be honest.
are you allowed to like leave like a show like this, the opera, through the rear entrance? Because it looks like they've come out through the fire escape or
I
something.
know, yeah.
Like I'm just like, is that okay? Like I
I
wouldn't
feel like they
imagine you
wouldn't
would
let
do
you
it.
do that. Yeah, I feel like they wouldn't let you do that. But then again, they are super rich, right? So maybe they are
But why would you go
doing
that way
special
anyway?
case.
I mean, once you're out of the main hall, why can't you just go out through the front entrance? Like, why would you go out through the back into the alley?
Because it has more of an impact.
I mean, I know you need to get them into the alley. Obviously, you need to get them in the alley somehow, but I just, I don't
Yeah,
know. I
I don't
question
understand that.
whether you would
I
leave.
actually did think the same thing when I was watching it. It's funny you should say that. Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, why are they leaving through that door like that? Because
And
obviously, yeah, when you get to the lobby area, you can just leave through the main entrance.
the that alley is absolutely disgusting. You go,
Yeah.
the front of the building's like properly nice and clean and everything. And around the back of their own building, they're like, yeah, we don't worry about that. It's like, don't, yeah, I mean, it's really bad. I mean, look at that.
Yeah, I know. But I think that's quite realistic. I think if you were in New York, not that I've been, but I think if you're in New York, I think that is how it would that's how it is actually.
And
That you
did you
have those
notice when
like
they
filthy
came
alleys.
out? Now, I noticed as well, when they came out the door, you hear like this bottle being dropped or kicked. And before you see anything, so they're just coming out the door, and as they're walking away from the door, you hear this bottle
Ah,
like it's being kicked, and I'm like, that's Joe Chill, like that's him off to the shadows or coming down the alley, and he's kicking a bottle, or perhaps he was waiting there to sort of mug
oh
someone that would be
man.
coming along the mouth of the
Yeah,
alley.
yeah.
And maybe he was drinking himself. Maybe he had a bottle of beer
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something, and he just finished the bottle, and then he chucked it as he saw them coming along or something. Who knows? But you do
That's
hear
kind
that
of
like
cool, isn't
bottle
it? Yeah. So you know something's coming.
when they're shot. You get this iconic imagery of the pearls falling to the ground.
Oh yeah. It's so iconic now, like you say. Man, on that bit there that you just shown, like it looks like the reason she got killed is because he tried to save the pearl, right?
In 89. Yeah,
Yeah, look, because he's like, no, don't
yeah,
grab that.
yep.
Oh God.
Yeah, so you wonder like would they have in 89 would they have survived if he'd have just let them take the pearls? Or
Yeah.
would Napier have killed them anyway? And I imagine people seeing this in 89, right? They weren't familiar with this like we are. I mean, everyone in the world now knows that Bruce Wayne's parents were shot, right, in the alley. But
Yeah,
in 89, they probably didn't know because if you were like a mainstream audience member, probably your only knowledge of Batman would have been the 60s like campy show. And then you go and see this, and when you see them in the alley, you must be like, whoa, like
that's true.
that might have had more of an impact by them. I also feel like with
That's true.
Zack Snyder here, in his version, he's Thomas also, I feel, potentially gets them killed because there's a bit where like Thomas like balls up his fist, makes to lunge at the guy, and then they get killed. And I wonder like, would they have survived if Thomas had just not
Yeah.
done anything?
Well, even the Nolan version, like it still feels like because he points towards her then, doesn't he? To like grab.
And he moves in front of her
Yeah, he moves in
protectively.
front, and I feel like that it
But
was that shock. But the weird thing about it is just before that, he's like, yeah, it's all okay and everything. Don't worry and all that to the
yeah,
guy because
yeah.
the wallet gets dropped, right? So he's all calm about it. But as soon as obviously it's his wife
But
and
when you
everything,
point a
it's
gun at your wife,
yeah, of
like
course, yeah,
that, he's
understandable,
just
yeah.
his reaction like just took over, and he's just like he stepped in front of her
Yeah, he didn't even
protectively.
think. Yeah,
And the guy was in this version, the guy's so nervous, like that just set him
yeah,
off.
he is. Which is cool though.
Yeah.
I like the fact it shows him so nervous like that.
So it's interesting as well. Until the 70s, Martha wasn't shot in the comics. She actually had a heart attack from seeing her husband murdered in front of her.
Oh, damn.
And then
That's kind of even darker, actually.
yeah, some of these early
That's darker
origins are
than being
darker than
shot.
what we've got now.
Yeah, it is. I genuinely believe it is, right? Because like there's something so dark about the fact that like the dad gets killed and then she dies herself because of the impact of it.
In the 80s, when they were trying to make the original Batman movie, they had a guy called Tom Mankiewicz, and he wrote some of the James Bond movies. So he wrote a few of the Roger Moores, Diamonds Are Forever, the last Connery film that Sean Connery did. And so,
Yeah.
and he also wrote Superman the movie, Superman 1 and Superman 2. And so they hired him to write a script for Batman. And in his script, in the end, they didn't use it, but in that version, when Bruce's parents are shot in front of him, he the boy just like stares at Joe Chill, and there's something it says in the script there that there's something about his eyes that just like
Yeah.
unnerved the guy, and then he runs off, and that's why Bruce is spared,
Yeah,
and then
Bruce's
he runs off.
eyes have become steel, visible furies shooting forth from them in an almost demonic fashion.
Then at the end there on the script page, it says suddenly a flash of lightning, rain begins to fall in sheets. Chill runs up to the street, disappears into the rain-swept darkness, and then on the next page, I think it's sort of the eyes. I'm trying to remember how it works, but basically it goes into what would be the title credits. So
Oh, okay, yeah.
this is kind of like a prologue to the movie. What do you think of Gary Oldman as James Gordon?
He's very likable, isn't he? Like, and it makes sense. Like, uh, I like how he's very reassuring to him as a kid, like that. Like you can kind of see him as like a warm character.
In
He does
the,
a good job of that kind of character, doesn't he? I think in general.
I think before this film, though, he mainly was known for the villain parts he played. I've got a feeling he might have been originally asked by Nolan to play the Scarecrow or
Ah,
or one of the villains, because Gary Oldman has played like these
ah.
fantastic villains in the past. Have you ever seen Dracula that he did?
Oh yeah, yeah. Have you?
Yeah, but he said like I've done villains and I don't want to do them anymore. I want to play good guys now. And so obviously Nolan was like, well, I definitely want you in my movie. So then he did the Gordon part. And if you look at like a comic like Batman Year One, he literally looks pretty much spot on to what you're seeing here. Like he's just stepped out from the comic book. So yeah, I think you can't really
No, you
fault him
can't.
or fault
Yeah,
the casting or anything. It's like spot on.
it is. Yeah. No, I really like him as
And
this in this role.
I like that in the Nolan films and now in the Batman that Gordon has a larger part in the story, whereas back in the Burton and the Schumacher films, he really didn't. He was just like in one or two brief scenes, really.
Right, yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
It's true. He's definitely a bigger role now. I think it makes more I think it makes sense though, because there's this partnership, isn't there, with him and Batman.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it definitely makes sense, and it's good to see it. In some of the comics, it's actually Gordon that discovers Bruce, like after the murder.
Ah,
In this version, it's possible that that did happen. They don't
you
show
just
it.
don't see it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No way to know. But
And
he's very comforting though, isn't he, in this?
but one thing as well I noticed, like this character here, this is Loeb, and he's the commissioner, and he is also a character from Batman Year One, and he's like one of the sort of bent people in the police force. In fact, basically everyone is bent in Year One apart from Gordon,
Yeah,
and that's kind of like what we got going on here in Batman Begins, because he's like the one cop that won't take money, and
yeah,
Loeb comes in here and he's basically says like get out, and he like looks at him like
yeah.
he's a bit of crap, and it's like all he was doing was comforting Bruce, but he
I
looks at him, he's
know.
like, why are you causing trouble and everything? It's like, what trouble are you doing? What possible problem can you have with Gordon comforting this young boy that's just lost his parents? But he's still like whatever beef he's got with Gordon, he's just like, just get out of here.
Yeah, you can definitely feel that, can't you, on this scene?
And another thing in the comics is sometimes the killer is never identified. And so
Oh yeah, yeah. Because on here he's like, "Oh yeah, don't worry, good news. Like we found him."
yeah, they
But
immediately
it's
catch him. Like immediately, they basically caught him
I
on the same
yeah,
night.
but I like that. But it's cool how it's like it doesn't really make him feel anything, does it? Like you can see on his face, he's like,
Yeah, it's
"So
like
what? Yeah, my parents are dead. Like it doesn't matter if he did or
exactly.
not,
It's not
really.
gonna
Like
bring
it's
my parents back.
yeah, yeah. I kind of like that. You can kind of see it on his face, right? Like it's just like, okay.
Yeah,
Cool. I mean, it's good that you've done it, but it's like, doesn't make any difference, does it? Especially to a kid who has no,
and I would
like,
think
why
as
would
he
he
get
care?
if he's not thinking it already, later on he would certainly be like thinking, I want him dead. I want
Yeah,
justice.
yeah.
That's justice. Like that's balance, right? Justice is balance, and balance is life for life, right? And that's probably, well, that is what he's thinking, because when he's a bit older, before he leaves Gotham, he does try to shoot Joe Chill himself, doesn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes they never catch Joe Chill though, and then like Bruce never gets that closure because he never knows who it was. He's just this nameless guy. And I kind of like that idea as well, that he thinks to himself as an adult when he's Batman, it's like maybe I'd come across this guy one day again. Maybe I'll recognize him and then I can make him pay.
Mm,
When they have the funeral, it's on the grounds of Wayne Manor. That's obviously his ancestors, his family
makes
members.
sense. Yeah,
Oh
yeah, because
yeah,
they're a rich family. They would have their own graves. That makes total sense.
absolutely,
It's
right?
kind of cool, actually. It's
If
a nice
you're
little.
fabulously wealthy and own acres and acres and acres of land and you live in a big ancestral house, you're gonna probably bury people on the land, right? That way you can visit them without traveling, right?
Back at the house there.
That's a lot of people turning up for this funeral.
And of course, it's raining in classic funeral.
Got to be raining.
Yeah. Who's that guy?
Is Rutger Hauer.
I feel like I recognize him.
He's from Blade Runner.
Ah.
You know the Roy Batty character that sort of at the end of the film he's running around basically naked in the rain and
Oh, okay.
he's after Harrison Ford and like Harrison Ford's climbing on the outside of the building trying to escape him. You remember that?
Yeah. No, I totally get in it now. Man, I knew him from somewhere.
And he also did a film that I've seen called The Hitcher, which I think is from the 80s. And it's basically like this guy and his girlfriend, they're like doing a road trip in America and it's I think it's pouring hard with rain and there's a guy just like with his hand out like wanting a lift and it's like they're in the middle of nowhere and it's absolutely bucketing down and they pull over and give him a lift because they're like we can't leave this guy out in the rain and everything, let's do a nice thing for the guy. And
Oh
he
man.
gets in the back seat, this guy, and he basically is a complete psychopath. And yeah, he just terrorizes this poor couple, and their only crime was like doing a good deed,
Yeah. Just goes to show.
Which is why America, I think, isn't it in America? It's illegal, isn't it, to like actually pick up
I
hitchhikers?
think it might be.
And do you remember at the end of Blade Runner when his character has this like he's dying, his body's shutting down, and he has this little speech where he's like, "I've seen things you people wouldn't believe."
Yeah.
That speech that he gives, he made that up. Like that's an improvised thing. Like that wasn't in the script. Like he went to the director.
Oh,
Yeah, he went to Ridley
that's
Scott. He's
cool.
like, I've, he said to Ridley Scott, "Look, would you mind if we just do this? I've got an idea. I want to try it. Let's just go." And the director was like, "Yeah, sure." And like it was so good. It's obviously going to put this in the movie, an iconic scene. But he
Back
just
in the
made that
days
up.
when Ridley Scott made good movies.
Yeah, it's such a great like little monologue he has.
It is,
It's
and it
amazing that
fits
so,
perfectly. It makes sense that actors can have like the ability because like they're so into their characters, right? Like they should be there's so much input they could give, I'm sure.
so our final
Yeah,
scene
final
is
scene.
Alfred visiting Bruce in his bedroom after the funeral. I hate this wallpaper.
It is ugly, isn't it?
It's an anticlimactic way to end our episode, but it,
It is.
talking about wallpaper and decor, but it's horrible wallpaper. But if you look closely, it looks really sort of run down and grubby. Like this room hasn't been
Yeah,
decorated for years and decades. Like, and again, I'm surprised that such a wealthy family would allow this to get so run down. And I wonder if that's a little bit of like the real world creeping in. Like we said earlier, how you have wealthy people now who own these big mansions that they've inherited, but they haven't got the money for the upkeep. And I
yeah,
wonder if that's what it is. Like the production decided to film in this room and it's a little bit run down. It's hard to believe that if Bruce Wayne's really living there, that his parents would have a room that looks like, I mean,
yeah.
it's not a child's decorating
It
either, is
is
it?
not, no. Well, I was going to ask you the question of that actually, but you sort of touched on it. Is do you think this is from the house then? Do you think
Yeah,
this
the
is? It's not a
location.
set, is it? It doesn't look like a set.
I think it's the location.
I think you're right. Yeah,
So finally, what do you think about the name Joe Chill then? Because it to me it's a bit silly, chill,
yeah, it
cold,
is.
chilling. Like it's that's how comics are though, aren't they? They often will do things like that where it's very on the nose. And
Yeah,
I'm surprised that Nolan was okay with that, because he was so focused on realism. There's a story that, like, David Goyer that wrote the film, he said, like, when he had meetings and discussions with Christopher Nolan, Nolan asked him things does Batman need to wear a cape? Why does he need to wear a cape? Does he have to have the ears? Things like that. Like,
ah,
yeah, like and he had to have that discussion for everything. Like, why does he have those like sort of scallops on his wrists, like on the gloves? Like, and so they came up with like a real world explanation for him in the movie because like
right.
so I'm surprised with Nolan being so focused on realism. why he would be okay with a character called Joe Chill.
Yeah, because yeah. I wonder why they didn't just change his name.
I think he was trapped because he can't. If you're gonna name him in the film, right? Which they had to because they wanted those scenes of him like going to court and all that sort of stuff. They needed those scenes, so they have to name him. And then you can't change the name because the comic book fans would go ballistic. You
Oh,
know,
they would, yeah.
they would absolutely go mad. He probably didn't like it, but he's probably like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. I need the character in those scenes. I can't change the name. We'll have to go with it, unfortunately. It's just one of those unfortunate things where
Mm.
it's a little bit of a silly name.
But man, Nolan does sound like an irritating person to work with, though, if he's asking questions about everything. I mean, I get it why he's doing that, but like, I would be like, oh God, can we just get on with this thing? If he's like, oh, but what about why does he have to look like this? Oh God, dude, you're making a Batman film, like you've got to abide by some of what Batman is, right? But I do also get like it is good to question stuff, but you know what I mean. Just from a point of view of working with somebody, I feel like it would be irritating. But it is cool that there was extra thought put into everything. But I also do think that Nolan's got this over obsession with realism that ultimately doesn't work, right? Because Batman's still just not realistic. So it kind of doesn't matter if it's that realistic or not because
Well, the
it's
problem
still
is as
ludicrous.
well, if you treat it too realistically, you can get yourself in trouble when you inevitably do have to do something that's a little bit more fantastical. Then it's really glaring. It's more glaring because you're like, what the? Like, like for example, like in The Dark Knight Rises, Bruce Wayne's back is like broken or at least severely damaged. Like, it looks like this like spinal injury of some kind. And then he's like thrown into like a pit and there's no way out. And then the guy has this like filthy, dirty piece of rope. He ties it around his back and he gives it a good sharp yank and it somehow fixes his back. Like in a film, in a Nolan film, that comes across as being too silly. Whereas in a Burton film, you would just go with it more because you're like, well, yeah, but I'm used to seeing it's more of a fantastical world.
Yeah,
And he
yeah.
goes from having like this impromptu like back surgery with a dirty piece of rope to like then like short like climbing out of that place and jumping from ledge to ledge and he's doing very physical things that a normal man can't even do and yet he's doing it after having like back surgery. And it's lots of little moments like that in the Nolan films where they sort of jump at you more because the rest of it is so much more grounded.
Yes, yes, totally. Yeah,
But
when the
yeah,
fidelity is that level, it's just everything has to stay up at that level, right?
everyone has like their own like sweet spot where they accept certain things in a Batman movie where they're like, I'm okay with that, but not that. Like, and I can point to like every movie, every single Batman movie where I'm like, there's things in it and I'm like, it's a bit silly. So it's a bit like in the original Batman, the 89 movie, for example, when the Joker shoots down the Batwing with that pistol, and he just fires one shot
Oh
and,
yeah,
and it downs the Batwing. And I've even from a kid, I was just like, what? Like, because they've established like the Batmobile is like this almost like impregnable thing. It's like they're firing machine guns in it and all this sort of stuff. And it doesn't even get a scratch. And yet the Batwing, which is built of the similar aesthetic, it's a similar style. So you think it's got the same sort of armor plating, it's the same designer, and yet that thing's downed with one bullet. And
yeah.
that's where it's like that's the moment in that film personally where I'm just like, you try and rationalize it. You think, well, maybe he might have hit like this one critical component and it was a lucky shot and like, but like all these films do little things like that. There's always things, but like in a Nolan film, it's
It
it's it
stands out, doesn't it?
yeah, like
Yeah.
they're held to a higher standard because they set themselves to a higher standard. They promote themselves on that very thing, like all the marketing when they talk about it in the documentaries and the and the promotion of the film, they're all talking about how this is like a more realistic, gritty take on the character and stuff. And so you're like, okay, then fair enough. That's what you're promising me. Well, what happened in this scene or that scene? So it's a slippery thing, isn't it, to get yourself into. Whereas
Yeah.
with Reeves, with his Batman film, he did say he wanted a more grounded, sort of gritty take, and that is what he's given. But he's also giving himself like that rope where he can say, well, I can go a little bit more fantastical because he set himself in a world where it's not Chicago or New York. It's it's clearly a more fantastical Gotham. Just that city alone gives me the visual cue that I can allow a little bit more flexibility.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He's just giving himself a bit more of an opening. Yeah, I agree.
With Nolan, interestingly, he went more realistic, didn't he, in the second
Yeah,
film?
especially the second film.
That's the most realistic Batman has ever gotten, and probably can ever get, right? I don't think you could
Yeah,
really get any more real than that without it just no longer really being Batman.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so okay, so
yeah,
that's our episode today.
yeah,
It's been good to do an episode with you.
yeah. Likewise, yeah. It was good that it was something quite self-contained as well. That it was the backstory. There, like it fits nicely into one episode, doesn't it?
Yeah. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah. No, thanks a lot. Yeah, that was great.